Pawitar, and apologies for the technical difficulties at the beginning. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to first go through the agenda, which we're going to have intention and reason for me wanting to start this group. We're then going to recap the Mul Mantra, which we talked about last time. Then we're going to read Poetry 1 of Drapchi Sahib. We're going to review and have a discussion about the translation. And then we're going to talk about bringing Drapchi Sahib into your daily life, and then brainstorm some community saver projects. So the intention behind this group, next one please. The intention behind this group is that it's supposed to be a group discussion and not a lecture. Now I realize that since we have a PowerPoint, it can seem a little bit academic, but the truth is I'm trying to create a discussion and a group project here. So there's no right or wrong answers if you're called on, and there's no pressure to speak if you're not feeling it, and we are going to try and learn from each other. Next one, please, Parjeet. So the reason for starting this group is there's this saying that show me your friends and I'll show you your future. So I have that in the back of my mind, plus people who believe in Sikhi, Guru Granth Sahib, and who want to focus their life towards Gurmat and becoming Gursikhs are the people who I want to have as friends and who I want to be around and talk about Sikh teachings openly. Okay, next slide, please. So who is Andrew, me, and why is he here? Because obviously there's not a lot of people like me who are interested in Sikhi. Well, in 2016 I went on a trip around the world, and one of the places I visited was Amritsar. And I stayed with a local Sikh family, and the father of the family told me all about Sikhi and took me all over Amritsar and Punjab, and he told me about its wisdom. And I always thought that that's the right way that I want to live my life. And so I came home and I said to my family, if I ever become religious, I'm going to become a Sikh because they believe all the right stuff that uplifts humanity. And so I started attending the Gurdwara here in 2024. And just a little about me, I'm a professional musician and music teacher. I play the saxophone, flute, and guitar, mostly at like bars and private events and weddings and such things like that. And there's a picture of me at the Golden Temple. Okay, next one, please. So what draws me to Sikhi? Well, first of all, Sikhi believes that Vaheguru is present in everything. The divine isn't distant or far away, and the divine doesn't have fear or hate near bow, near there. I also really appreciate the freedom of spirit and thought. There's no blind following. You're encouraged to question and explore and understand. Additionally, justice and standing up for what is right, to defend the truth and protect others even when it's difficult. Equality of all people. No one is above anyone else. Everyone carries the same light. And then this concept of sovereignty, not to be controlled by ego. And the spirit of the Khalsa, which is to be self-governed and free while upholding Sikh values. So now we're going to continue on by talking about Mul Mantra really quick. As you know, the entirety of the Guru Granth Sahib is based off of Eko Onkar and then the following Mul Mantra. And so, as we talked about last time, the Mul Mantra says that there's one universal reality. Truth is the name. The Creator is present and active within everything. It is without fear and without hate, timeless, beyond birth, self-existent, and recognized through the Guru's grace. Next slide, please. And to continue the Mul Mantra, Mul Mantra Part 2, we have Akal Murit, timeless in form. He is beyond birth, self-existent, Whoops, now I'm seeing my mistake. The next part is God is such to God is such, have ye such, Nanaka hosi be such, which says that the divine was present before now and will be present after and has always been around. And Nanaka hosi be such. Okay, let's go on to Pori 1. So I realized when I was putting together this translation that putting word to word like I did in the Mul Mantra wouldn't quite work because there's so many more words. So I just laid them all out here. So we start off with Socha Socha Nahova Ije Sochi Lakvar. Thinking alone does not bring understanding, even if you think hundreds of thousands of times. And then the next line is Chupa Chupa Nahova Ije Lae Rahalivtar. Silence alone does not bring peace, even if you remain absorbed in it. Bukia Bukna Utari Je Bana Puriya Bar. Desire is not satisfied, even if you gather and consume endlessly. Sahasyam Palakhoe Taiknachale now. Thousands of clever ideas, but none of them will go with you in the end. Kiv Sachiyara Hoye, Kiv Kure Tote Paul. How do we become truthful? How is the wall of illusion broken away? And then we end with Hukam Graje Chalana Nanaka Likyana. Walk in alignment with Hukam. This is what is written with us. Can you go back one slide, please? So now we're going to go and look at this first one. Socha Socha Nahove Je Sochi Lakvar. Thinking alone does not bring understanding, even if you think hundreds of thousands of times. So what this means to me is that God is not something that you can comprehend. It's beyond our comprehension. It's something that is met not through intellectual behavior, but meant through a more spiritual feeling. And so this ties into the next one. Silence alone does not bring peace, even if you remain absorbed in it. What I think Guru Nanak is saying here is that you can spend your life meditating and, living in a cave meditating like a Buddhist, but unless you walk with Hukam and understand the divine nature of the world, that silence isn't going to bring anything to you. And then this next one is, I really think it's useful, is Bukia Bukna Utuije Bana Puriya Bar. Desire is not satisfied either if you gather and consume endlessly. I think this is a real problem with the world, that you can keep, people will collect millions and millions of dollars, but they're still not happy. They could collect all the greatest cars or whatever they're into, but that still won't bring the desire to be satisfied. Or you can eat as many cheeseburgers as you can manage, but at the end you'll still be hungry. And so I like this line because it reminds me that to focus on things that are not temporary, like Wahiguru. Okay, next slide, please. Thousands of clever ideas, and none of them will go with you in the end. So the idea is that you can have clever ideas about the world and about how things work, or try and come up with clever ideas on how to escape death, but in the end, nothing goes with you. You come into this world alone, and you leave the world alone. Next we get, how do we, or Kiv Sachiyara Hoye, Kiv Kure Tute Pa. How do we become truthful? How is the wall of illusion broken? And then we get Hukam Raja Chalana Nanaka Likyana. Walk in alignment with Hukam. This is written for us. And so Hukam is a foundational idea within Sikhi, and it's often translated as command. But what I also think it means is the unfolding of reality. It's not just like the command of God, it's how everything works. And so what is happening is considered hukum. So to walk in alignment with hukum means that you're not trying to change the world, you're accepting how it is going. So that's Pawitar 1. The next slide. This is one of my favorite writers that I've discovered, Nikki Garunderkor Singh. And I pulled this out of her book called Guru Nanak's Transcendent Aesthetics. And I'll just read it to you because it's a little bit heavy. Keeping with the content in the introductory Japji Juice stanza makes a quick shift from the infinite formless, one named Sat to the temporal, spatial, physical, individually living, truthful Satyada. Guru Nanak's ascetic strategy is set in motion. Metaphysical truth must be lived experientially. He raises this question, how do you become true? Kiv Satyada Hoya. How do you break the wall of deception? Kiv Kure Tutipal. He creates a dialogical setting for the audience to come forward and participate in a collaborative, reflective process. The audience is given agency. Starting with a rather abstract existential question, he follows it up with a visual image of a wall, which makes his point more concrete and urgent. His poetically extended repetition incites self-critique, what attitudes, actions, proclivities prevent living truthfully, how to shatter the insular, selfish, egoistic home, how to break the solid dualistic wall of impending uncertainty. Across his repertoire, the artist Nanak abundantly utilizes synthetic parallelism to create subtle and powerful shifts between two halves of a line. As illustrated in this instance, his parallel questions build up a semantic understanding, serves as a mnemonic aid, providing rhythmic energy and poetic balance. So I think what she's trying to say here is that Guru Nanak presents this as a question. Kiv Satyada Hoye, Kiv Kure Tutipal. How do you break the wall of illusion? How do you live truthfully? And so he creates this collaborative, reflective process. He doesn't just say it to you immediately. He first asks you the question, and then the rest of Japji and the Guru Granth Sahib further expand on this. And so let's go to the next one. So that was my little talk on Pawitar 1. And then the next thing on the agenda was to brainstorm some community seva projects. And I also thought that to talk about individual seva, because seva is a big part of Sikhi, which in seva is selfless service. So an example would be like visit an elderly Sangha member, help with groceries or tasks for someone in the community who needs help. I thought maybe we could organize some kind of small neighborhood or park cleanup, bring food to someone who's going through hard times, or offer rides to the Gurdwara or appointments. And then on an individual level, we can speak kindly, especially when it's hard, and practice patience in frustrating moments, help someone without expecting anything back, or pick up like garbage or something that seems out of place, and to help the world become a better place. So the idea with this group was that I want to make friends and do things for the community, and so I'm looking for things that need to be worked on, or something that can be done as a group project. And so happy to talk to anybody about that. And so that was my final slide. And thank you all very much. I do have a question for Pawitar Paul. Could you go back to Pawitar 1 slide, please? Oh wait, no, the next one. So, Sias Sahasyam Palako Etaikana Chalena. What does clever tricks mean to you, Pawitar Paul? Okay, thank you. Thank you all for coming. Wahiguruji Kakasa, Wahiguruji. Pawitar Paul, could you please say in our DOS for us? Very good. Thank you.